All right, so other news now at the hour. In fact, a story that we have been following here on the SABC. National Police Commissioner General Fannie Masemola, he will continue with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission, taking place at the Madlanga Justice College in Pretoria. So, SABC News presenter Ayanda Nyati, as well as SABC News reporter Canny Maphanga, they have more on what we can expect today. Of course, trust in this commission following some of the more damning revelations emerging since it began. Talk to us about what's expected today, what's also transpired. Really waiting from you.
Well, Liesl, Fannie Masemola will of course be back on the hot seat for day 2 of his testimony, and this is of course after spending quite a considerable amount of time yesterday speaking about the command of instruction that he at least understood, at least from his own vantage point, and how that ultimately culminated in the disbandment of the political killings task team. That infamous decision being communicated on the 31st of July, very uncharacteristic when you consider just at what time of the year we are around then. And I think down the line, it'll raise a whole lot more questions about what was actually at play. But as you mentioned, Canny Maphanga is with us here at the Madlanga Justice College, and she's been holding on to every word from that witness box, shall we call it, for lack of a better term. Great to see you as always, Canny. Yesterday, when Fannie Masemola started, at least in fact before he started reading his statement out, we saw an exchange between him and the chair of the commission, Canny Maphanga, who was trying to ascertain Fannie Masemola's understanding of when he would take an instruction from the minister. And it made a whole lot more sense throughout the course of the testimony, didn't it?
The theme there is who has the legal authority to issue a directive that enters into the realm of operations. And when it is unconstitutional, do you obey or disobey that particular directive or instruction? So essentially, what is this foundation created here is to create a distinction between the two different roles that the minister and the national commissioner play with respect to the South African police services. Now, it took a while to get there, but General Masemola eventually heeded to the understanding that if an instruction does not fall within the remit of the minister, then it means that is unlawful. And if it is unlawful, then as the SABC National Commissioner, you are to disobey that instruction and take further steps. Now, the lesson had been set in the morning, but of course what would follow later in the afternoon was a different reality. Because what we see from the general's evidence is that when the instruction was given to him to disband the political killings task team, it was a surprise. He didn't know it was coming. And of course, he learned from it outside of the minister. So he learned from it from Kwanazi, the media reports, etc. But what he did not do in an instruction that he contends was unlawful, he didn't challenge that particular instruction. I guess the intention I'm getting from General Masemola is that it was a strategic decision to almost relent to that particular instruction, because I guess the overall arching theme that we're getting from the commission, or at least these particular officers, is that there would not have been room to say an outright no to that particular instruction. So what he did was stated that he would wind it down phase by phase. But the Justice Madlanga's issue with that is that you are basically relenting to a decision that is unlawful, and that goes against the evidence that you gave earlier in the morning, that if you were confronted with this kind of circumstance, that you would disobey that particular instruction.
Right. And to be fair, he was reluctant before eventually arriving at that concession. Yeah, it's very uncomfortable, suggesting that this would have been a career-limiting move if he were to do that. And I wonder whether there's any telling how things are likely to unfold with that groundwork that's been laid. I mean, we know that a big part of what Fannie Masemola's involvement allegedly would be around this political killings task team, which did form a central part of his statement.
Well, it appears that he had little to no involvement in the disbandment of that PKTT, and I think that's the issue, that you have a SABC National Commissioner that is a top that is driving operations within the South African police services. A decision is taken, and again, there's more questions for the police minister that is on the leave of absence, Senzo Mkhunu, that why did the decision have to be taken on the 31st of December 2024 when everyone is outside of the office? You know that you've approved leave for General Masemola. You see him at a funeral. At no point do you discuss this looming or imminent decision that happened quite quickly. We're hearing from Konazi's evidence following that search or questioning that took place at the home of Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. And you're seeing that really at the heart of it, the general was not consulted. He did not know about this particular decision. And I think that is the question as to why. Because Mkhwanazi's already given evidence stating that this PKTT had to be eliminated once it entered Gauteng and started going for key figures that have now allegedly been linked to the police minister, the Lieutenant General Shadrick Sabia. To some extent, we've seen evidence that is giving us some kind of a picture that at the very least, this alleged organized crime syndicate has some kind of tie to law enforcement agencies. But the pattern in which it happened, the speed at which it happened, the disbandment of the PKTT, and the lack of consultation on the part of the minister with the SABC National Commissioner, because you're already hearing that General Masemola is stating that had I been given an opportunity to engage on this particular subject, I would have pulled out the numbers. I would have shown the minister how this PKTT was advancing the fight against criminality in South Africa. But all of that was eliminated, and he was left with this letter on the desk. And now when confronted with this decision that we're told is unlawful from the viewpoint of Masemola and his evidence, he still did not take that decisive decision to challenge, or not, rather disobey the instruction that he was being given.
Absolutely, and I wonder how the commission is going to respond to that, what they're going to read into it. Was he cornered, or did he still have a fair amount of autonomy to push back? Well, day 2 of Fannie Masemola's testimony is set to unfold today, and we'll be watching all those developments for you as we build up to 9:30 exactly. In fact, they might start walking in just before that, with the first words being uttered then. Either way, we'll certainly be watching it very closely for you from here in Pretoria.
Absolutely, Canny and Ayanda, thank you very much. Closely monitoring those developments and, of course, the remarks coming through from that commission as we continue.